Welcome to the Changemaker's Corner, powered by Fuel, an interview series spotlighting different grassroots leaders, social impact innovators, and young changemakers across Toronto and the GTA. At Changemaker's Corner, we pull back the curtain on changemaking work, shine a light on the realities of the social impact sector, and reimagine a better future for meaningful and authentic change in our communities. Learn more about Fuel at fuelchange.org and on social media at Fueling Changemakers. And today we are sitting with Tubz. Tubz is here finally. Artist, community leader, job coach, operations lead at Fuel, among other amazing things. Tubz, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Honored to be here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you for being here, Tubz. I'm honored to have you as a guest. Okay. So like before we even, I know I made up those titles. I mean, they're very real, but like, how do you introduce yourself when someone asks you who you are?
Well, I've been thinking about that more because of the conversation we had. You talk about how we introduce ourselves with the work that we do, but not who we actually are. Mm-hmm. And so I've been thinking about what my introduction can look like, and I still don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But piece by piece, I'm coming up with things, and the word that seems to fit is floater. I see myself as someone who goes where they're needed, and I like to feel useful, and I'm able to offer any kind of skill set that gives me a chance to explore what that could look like. So I don't limit myself. I consider myself multifaceted and just willing to explore whatever's out there. That's it. Wow,
you're starting off strong today. I was like, thought we were gonna do a little casual, a little on top, but you went right into it.
I've thought about this a lot. That's why.
No, I think, and that's beautiful. I think I'm trying to do that too. You know, like I think like I preach it to other people. I tell people, oh, like, why do we introduce ourselves as something? But like even personally, I still oftentimes be like, Patrick, artist. Like, why was that first? You know, is there something else beyond that that I feel, yeah. And so floater. Floater.
It's working for me.
Yeah, I like it. I think also maybe because it's supposed to have some sort of like negative connotation, maybe, I don't know. But I think you're like reclaiming that by making it positive. Because the time I heard floater was like maybe like in social groups, right? You'll be like, I'm a floater. I got been part of a lot of different social groups, but one may perceive that as someone who is flighty, which is not the same.
No, I often hear the word in organizing groups, where you're like, okay, what's your role? You're the floater. You're just going wherever you're needed, and that's truly how I see myself. Because I don't like to put myself in a box, mostly because I'm so desperate to experience everything. So that's why it feels like that's what works for me. So I'm gonna stick with it for now.
For now.
Until
something else comes.
Yeah.
As someone who's worked with you, Tubz, like you are definitely someone who responds to need and goes where you are needed, and that's one of the things I love about working with you. Is that so serious? Yeah. Okay. All right. Backpedal. Origin story of Tubz. Yeah. Where is Tubz from?
I've been reflecting on this too. I grew up in a very restrictive household. I am the oldest of 4, and I feel like being the eldest daughter of an immigrant family has really shaped me as a person in ways that I didn't realize. And as soon as I got that inch of freedom, I ran so hard with it. Had experiences that were both good and bad, met a lot of people along the way. And looking back at that time, I'm realizing that I really, here's another, I guess, metaphor, but I do see myself as a sponge too. Like I genuinely take in a lot of my surroundings, and I'm easily inspired. So everything that I am and everything that I do is a direct result of all of that. I am learning more about determinism, and that's like really resonating with me right now. Hard determinism, which is often brought up in conversations with like, do you believe in hard determinism or free will? And I thought we were free, but reading more into it, I'm leaning more towards the deterministic point of view.
Can you like
elaborate?
Yeah.
hopefully I'm doing it right.
Well, whatever it means to you, yeah.
From what my understanding is, and this is like my philosophy in life in general, and it may sound like common sense too, but essentially what it implies is that every choice and decision that we make is a direct result of a previous decision that we've made or an experience. Like, I see myself as an amalgamation of everyone that I've met, everything that I've experienced. And so moving forward, I'm continuously building on me, but I myself see myself as an experience because of that. Like, I'm not singular. And so I never really feel alone because I have all the experiences, all these people that have inspired me, celebrities, fictional characters, people in my life who have shaped me. So I'm not like, I don't see myself as like one entity. And so determinism is really just whatever choice you're making has been decided for you based on everything else that's led to that point.
Wow.
And so do you really have a choice? And you may think like, yeah, but I chose to eat like oatmeal in the morning today. But if you break that thought down into the root of where that even came from, your values, your temperaments, like everything has been shaped by something that led you to make that decision. So for me, that's how I approach the world, by continuously bringing more experiences in so that my future decisions are made with that knowledge in mind.
Wow. That's like, wow. Yeah. Does it ever, I mean, I'm following and I feel like I agree with you. I think, and I feel like I relate. Does it ever feel like you need to distinguish a difference? Does that ever happen where you're just like, you lose track of who I guess you are, whatever that even means, and the world that has made you?
Yeah, of course, definitely. It's a balancing act because I'm so heavily inspired by people. Like just hearing the stories earlier today about how art is healing for people and escapism. I'm inspired by that so much that my initial reaction to a lot of things is, how can I do that? That's why I end up doing so much, is because I'm always like, okay, I want to try that thing. Let me figure out how I can do this for myself, that skill, like cooking or graphic design, whatever, let me do it. Not realizing that, is this something that I even want to do? That comes later. So I let myself absorb all these things. Sometimes I get lost in that process, that I don't stop and process like what I'm going through. Recently, I've gotten into journaling. So getting all my thoughts out on paper, that's what made me realize, okay, here's what I do like, here's what I don't like, as Tubz. Not something that, like, the inspiration and the empathy, like, it's so strong that I almost want to become that person for a little bit. And I don't know how else to make sense of it. And finding where I actually fit within that narrative comes much later, even years later.
So you're just like committed to the exploration and to the
Yes.
feeling, and you just run with it until there's a moment where you decide whether or not you like it, and then that decision's made at that point.
Exactly.
And that decision itself could still be connected to all of the experiences you've had before then. But okay, that makes a lot of sense in my head. It makes sense. And the distinction, I think, does it really need to happen? I think that where you end and where the world begins is a fluid thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to say that sometimes. I think people want to be an individual, like naturally want to be like, this is me, that is the world. But I think there's a
oneness that I feel.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting, and it's really beautiful. And I think a lot of one of the wisest people I know have a similar take. So I think that would make you very wise. Okay, so I guess what are in the community work that you've done and kind of the many just different, because you've been in so many different organizations, you've done a lot of different kinds of work. How has like, you know, what you've experienced as a kid, how has that shaped like the work that you do now? What experiences, I guess, did you internalize that then led to some of the work you do now?
I was always raised with values to stay humble and stay grounded and to help others in need. And when something sticks to me, it sticks hard. Like I said, I run with it. And helping people became my long-term goal. I professionally wanted to become a lawyer for the longest time. And I didn't realize until I took a course on law and lawyers that's when I realized that this is not a profession for me. I'm too emotional. I'm too attached. And I feel a lot of things. That would have boxed me and limited me, and I would have become a version of myself that I wouldn't have liked very much. So professionally, I gravitated towards roles that involved helping people. But in doing that, I was also helping myself. Because I was timid, I was shy, I was introverted, and I never really found my voice. Second year university, this is a very, like, it sticks with me this time. Okay. It was hard. It was a really hard time. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going with my life. And I signed up to become what was called a launch leader. This is at UTM. Okay. I had joined this program as a participant prior. And I'm like, let me just give this a try. And I ended up getting it because I so desperately wanted to prove to them in that interview carousel process that this is the right fit for me. And they gave me that chance. That moment changed my life forever. Wow. I found my leader voice in that experience. I grew so much that other people noticed. And from that moment on, I developed this high for volunteering and putting myself out in front of like a student group and getting them involved with me. And that became the catalyst for all of my involvement. So on campus, I was known as like a student leader. I wore the colored shirts. I did the tabling, you know, like come out to these events, get free food, like all that stuff. And I met community through that. I met some wonderful people who have also shaped me. You know, we like people come and go, but those moments stay. And from that moment of being involved in campus, which can be considered like a bubble, I transitioned easily into the workforce because I already knew what I wanted to work with youth. And then I ended up working for a youth employment program for 5.5 years. Wow. So that's where my professional life led me. But because I'm restless, and like I mentioned, I'm always trying to get more experiences, I started volunteering outside of that. And that's where I joined RISE. It's a program with Apathy is Boring. And that's the moment I got a glimpse of what it's like to do community organizing. And again, like this was a key turning point where I'm like, I have found like a new voice, I found a new community, found a new version of myself. And I took that and I basically started getting involved in multiple pockets of community work. I still to this day don't really know what like belongs to me or like what my path is because I'm still going with the flow, like I said, wherever I'm needed. And while I did end up creating a collective collaboratively called Weaving Threads, that still is not something that I see as like the only thing that describes my community work. You know, it's so much more than that. So it's a bit of art, it's a bit of structure, it's a bit of processes, and I'm willing to just help others with their professional careers in organizing. Because organizing and like grassroots is great, I love it, but it's not my vocation. It's not my career. I do it as a side thing. My career is more focused on like the structure and like I like having a 9 to 5, but I like having the flexibility to do this stuff on the side. I don't use it to make money, and I don't see it as a transaction. If someone like I have people now who come to me for certain things, whether they're like, I have an idea for this grant, want to help me write it, or they'll be like, oh, do you want to come on this like podcast with me, or do you want to do this panel, whatever you need. I'm eager to get involved, especially if my values align with theirs. If I like your initiative, I don't want any money from you. I don't want anything from you. Just let me be involved. Wow. And that's how I get my satisfaction. It's selfish altruism. That's a real term.
I think there is nothing wrong with being honest. That is a reciprocal experience by giving and being there and supporting someone, you know? I don't think there's anything, I think it needs to be honest that there is something that you get from it too. And I think in that, when you accept that, I think from there becomes an opportunity to even give in a better, more sustainable way once you make that observation. Yeah. And then you're like, this is something that I also love doing. Yes. Yeah. I have a feeling though, like it feels like you're very, like you're humble and you're constantly putting people in front of you, and you're pushing people up and you're lifting people up, and you've done that for me. And I mean, this was kind of low-key an opportunity for me to have a chance to lift you up, even though here I am fucking talking still. But you know, like, do you ever feel like how about like Tubz getting the spotlight? What is that? Are you uncomfortable with the spotlight? Do you struggle with falling into that role of being seen and being at the forefront of something? Do you feel like you need to at all?
You've asked me this before, and even like coming on here was a struggle for me to say yes. I don't know yet where this comes from. I used to be an attention-seeking child. Like, I was like a compulsive liar because I wanted attention. I lied about having like Avril Lavigne merch. I didn't even know who she was. Like,
would you like Avril Lavigne merch? So does it have to be a lie? I have a few things.
No,
but hold on, let's continue. Sorry.
But I would come up with the most random thing just to be seen by people. And you know what? Like, I think I got so tired of that. I got so tired of that version of myself and tired of seeing myself as a victim. I live my life very positively, but I've worked hard to get that. I don't like putting myself front facing because I get no satisfaction from it, genuinely. Like, my impact with people, like the way that people shape me, all I want to be able to do is provide the same in return. Like, they've been a part of my journey and they've come and gone. Let me do that for you. Even if we're not here forever, like, if I can make even like a small impact in your life and we can stay connected, that is so much more satisfaction for me than anything in the spotlight. I don't get anything from that. And for the longest time, I thought that's what I needed to be noticed as a change maker. But in the small conversations that I have in private, that's where I go home and I'm like, yo, I had the best conversation with Pat the other day and he said this about me. That's what I want to hear.
Wow.
Honestly.
Wow. That's like, I can't even, I'm like,
I almost cried.
Yeah, I know, me too, a little bit. Just like the idea of change making not having to be so grand and not having to center a specific person. I like, I mean, obviously as someone who's an artist, like I love being the center of attention many times. And I think, and I'm like, I pretend like I don't need to, but I do. And I think I'm constantly inspired by the way you see it, I think. And it's funny because bringing you on today, partly it was kind of I was like looking forward to me being able to lift you up. And then here you are saying, Patrick, I'm here for you. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, how can I not? And I think I have to get over the fact that,
that's not what I want.
Yeah, that you don't need to necessarily be spotlighted in order for you to feel like you are making change in people's lives and in your community and doing good work. And thank you for reminding me that. And I think if more people understood that, I think the change that they would make in their communities would be really genuine and important. Without necessarily connecting it to our individual need to be seen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we hosted a private Breaking Bread as part of Fuel to invite people who were doing great work in the community. And that just being able to tell someone like, hey, I want to invite you to this space because of the work you're doing, just being the one to invite is such a fulfilling experience. And then having them come out and be like, thank you for honoring me. Mm-hmm. Like, again, that's really where the good feeling comes from, right? And I know you feel that too.
I do, and I try to not center myself in some of the good things I do, but I constantly have to take a second to separate my ego from the action and act of service that I'm trying to commit to, and I think that is what like I'm constantly on a journey with, is like making that like separation sometimes of being like, this is not about me, this is about something bigger. And that's why I think about you all the time when I'm like making that decision, and it's reminding myself that there are people in the world who don't need to be seen every second of the day.
But I do love what you're doing, because some people do need that. And not everyone, but even you, like the way you approach spaces has been incredibly inspiring. Like, you give every single person that comes through that door your attention. I would be like, give me a sec, like I need to focus on getting this thing out before I even acknowledge you. You do it immediately and you do it naturally. You make people feel so comfortable. Like, right now.
This is where the interview is turning on me. I knew this would be the only chance that there'd be a time I had get interviewed is by bringing Tubz in.
But I am really inspired by you.
No, thank you. And I totally receive it. And I receive it all and I flex it on everyone. No, I'm just joking. No, thank you. I thank you. And I think that's why I think we work very well together as on Fuel, at Fuel, because we have different approaches, and I think when we're in a room, like, we're unstoppable. And so I loved all the work that we've done so far. Oh, one of the things you do is scrapbooking. I am such a big fan of your art in general, but also its importance and its relationship to you as a person. Particularly, I read a few articles about you. I looked, and I already knew this about you, but, you talked about scrapbooking and its relation to grief and how you've used that to navigate these like difficult. So I'm giving you, I guess, a moment to talk and like rant and like not even rant to like just like what's the word when you're like positively ranting? What is the word? Like
what is the word?
Like you're like you're inspired by it. It's not
word
bad,
vomit.
good rant.
I don't know.
Rambling? Okay, yeah, I think ramble. But ramble feels like it's still a negative connotation to it, I feel, right? Like ranting is. There's something else. There's like a riffing. I don't know. You know what? We'll get.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I think we all know the word too, but we're thinking about it intensely. But I'll just say I'll let you have an opportunity to talk about why scrapbooking is important and why everyone should do it. Because everyone has to do it. And if you haven't fucking scrapbooked ever in your life, this is your fucking homework, all right? For the 2, maybe 3 people in the room that I'm yelling at right now. Okay, go ahead.
Scrapbooking, oh my gosh. The best way that I've learned to describe what it means to me has been, so that infamous thing that people will always say, like, you need to learn to live in the present. But we as humans are constantly floating in between timelines. Like, when I am listening to old music or watching like an old movie from my childhood, being very nostalgic, constantly replay things from the past all the time too. That's me immersed in the past. And then when I'm at a concert or having a conversation with a friend, like right now as well, I'm very immersed in the present. And God knows I'm constantly thinking about the future and my job and like what's next for me. Scrapbooking is one of those things that lets me be in all 3 timelines at the same time. Wow. I am reminiscing about the past while trying to honor it in the future by making something in the present. And nothing gives me that feeling like scrapbooking does. And art, for me, growing up, was everything. It was my entire life, it was my identity, and I gave it up without a second thought because it wasn't gonna make me money. And if there's one thing that I'm incredibly proud of in this lifetime, it's finding my way back to art through this way. And I didn't know that it was gonna look like this. I found my best friend from the UK gave me a scrapbook, and this was like a couple years ago. And she had this printer that prints out sticker photos, and I don't know why, but that really that stuck. I'm like, well, I need to create a bunch of shit from this. So I started really basic, like black paper, put the sticks on, had like a gold marker she gave me, and I showed her like the progress. And then the more I did it, more of that feeling started to come out. I'm like, I really like doing this. And I kept doing it more and more until it eventually became something I don't even know how to comprehend anymore. I'm doing like 3D scrapbooking right now. And I've never completed anything in my life up until this point because I'm so restless to start the new thing. Scrapbooking is the first thing I completed. I completed a whole scrapbook. Wow. From start to end. It was so surprising for me that I left the last page blank. I couldn't get myself to complete it. That was a choice. Yeah. So I tried to make it a business because people around me were like, I would pay for this. Like you should do something with this, or like wedding or birthday, whatever. And you know how like American Idol or like X Factor, you'll have people come on and they'll do not the best job, and they're like, well, my family told me I was good. That's why I'm here. That's what I felt, because it's one thing for your friends and family to tell you that something's good, but it's another to sell it to a customer base. And as soon as it became like a business, it took me a while, but I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And it didn't make sense approaching it as a business either, because you ask yourself, like, what's stopping you from doing what you love? Well, what if that thing isn't something you love to do? And so I realized that much later, but scrapbooking is a very personal thing. And I had the honor this year to do a couple scrapbooking workshops. And when I did those workshops and I saw people come into the space and I gave them the materials, I'm like, here's my collection, here's like all the stuff that I've accumulated over time. Honestly, I was trying to get rid of it too. But they took one look at it and they got so excited and they made their own thing. I didn't facilitate anything. I offered some like artistic viewpoints here and there. I showed them mine as like an example, but it was ultimately them. They created something and they made it beautiful. That's what scrapbooking does for people. It fuels your creativity without too much pressure because you're making something very personalized. And that includes emotions like grief and remembrance and memory preservation, which is also something I'm really passionate about, as everyone is, because you know, we're constantly trying to preserve our legacy. Everyone is.
That's right.
This is my way of doing that.
Wow.
So that's scrapbooking in a nutshell for me.
If there wasn't a better reason to scrapbook, that is it right there. Go home, get a scrapbook, start fucking scrapbooking.
And message me about it.
And message Tubz about it because it's amazing. I have yet to do it, partly because I might hire Tubz to do it for me. But you mentioned a couple things, and that's why your relationship with your art is so, it's like very, I feel very inspired by it. And I think part of the reason is because it's so different from mine. It's so different from mine. Yeah, like the story that I get from a lot of people, you know, like I've met in the world who have maybe had a relationship with art, but then have put it down for years because they couldn't make a living from it or whatever. Their relationship is severed, and then it's very tragic. I really don't like, you know, like when people have this thing they love doing, but they stop because of life and obstacles and things like that. And so to know that you've stopped and then returned to it, and scrapbook was a way for you to do that is a beautiful thing. And I wish more people have that opportunity to return to art, maybe just by reimagining the way it looks and the way it fits in their life. And maybe you don't need to make a living off of it. And that was another thing I was very inspired by too, this idea that this scrapbooking thing is a personal thing, that it's by making it a business, by, you know, putting numbers and measurements to it and a dollar value on it, it immediately starts to strip away its meaning to you.
Of course.
And I love that you're so honest with that, because me, like I need to get paid for what I do, and
you're good at it too.
Thank you. But also it is a challenging thing for me to have to wrestle with, the idea that like my creative process is so tied to making money, and the fact that you found a healthy relationship for art in your life is really nice to hear, you know?
Thank you. I even did like embroidery this year. I did painting, all because I could. I'm sorry, this is one thing I'll brag about.
Okay, do it.
No one feeds their inner child more than I do. Honestly. Like, everything I do is in honor of that person who didn't get to do it.
That's gonna be a little video.
All my money
right
went towards there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little viral video.
Oh my
clip.
God,
We're
no.
gonna give like a 15-second thing where you're like, that's it right there. Yeah, that's what okay, fine. All right, anyway. That was beautiful. And you are. Out of a lot of people I know, you are, you know? And I think you're just willingness to try something new, like approach something with a beginner's mindset. That is something I see from you often. And it's so inspiring. Because as an artist, existing this long, it's hard for me to start things where I suck at it and be a beginner at it, because I have so much ego as an artist. You're like, no, I want to be good at something. I'm not willing to try unless I'm being good at something. But there's so much humility and learning and excitement in approaching something as a beginner, you know?
And every milestone where you're like, oh yeah, this new thing works really well here. That's what it was like for scrapbooking. It started from like a blank, simple page to something incredibly intricate. Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to get there if I didn't keep going.
Again, always love listening to you, Tubz. A couple more questions. Let's switch gears a little bit. So we're gonna throw in some kind of topics about the work you do with Fuel, but more just specifically about the themes that Fuel touches on. So, you've worked at jobs, multiple jobs. You were a job coach. You were working there for 5 years or 5.5 years. You changed over to be at Fuel for the operations lead. You're currently going somewhere soon new that I don't know if I can say out loud yet, but I'm like, plus the scrapbooking, Plus, like, also just going where you're needed all the time. Do you feel tired doing that? Is that sustainable for you? And if so, how do you make it sustainable?
That's a great question, actually.
I'm a great interviewer.
You are. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've definitely burnt myself out. For sure. I'm not perfect. But what keeps me going is not, like, my push is very internal. Like, the passion that I feel for other people's work makes me make time, like, no matter what. And I've told you this before, but I get things done really quickly. I don't know how. It gets done really quickly. And I have a lot of free time. So what I could be doing, like...
But hold on, let's just not pretend it's some sort of divine intervention.
Intervention.
You're a hard worker and you're very skilled and talented. But yeah, okay, you don't know how. But anyway, go ahead.
I end up having free time.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. And that's how I fill it up. And I guess maybe it is the extrovert, because I'm struggling to call myself that, but it's showing up more and more. I'm learning to accept it. But I get a lot of energy from helping people. And I'm every time, like, okay, let's schedule something. I'm ready. I am always ready to schedule something. Like, let's do it. I'm constantly waiting for the other person to be like, okay, here's the date.
You're giving me a wave of anxiety right now. I cannot imagine approaching life like that. Let's schedule something. I'm ready. Like,
Let's
whoa,
go.
whoa, whoa. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'm fast paced.
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
restless. And that is, I've learned, a saboteur in its own way, but it's balance. It's finding that right balance. And I can't, if I see a good opportunity in front of me, especially an opportunity to get to know someone on a deeper level by working with them, because that is how I get to know people, I'm gonna want to do it. And so balance for me is like structure. So I have my calendar, which I use religiously. You've seen it.
Oh my gosh, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's color coded.
It's a beautiful masterpiece.
It keeps me keeps me checked onto everything. I have a task list as well. And again, if something is really appealing to me and I want to do it, it's making the list. And I'm going to find time. And so far, I haven't felt the burnout. Even when I am going to be approaching a new opportunity in January, Erica asked me, do you want to take a break? It's like, no, I feel like I'm just getting started. And genuinely, like, I don't know when I'm going to get my next burnout. Maybe it'll happen next year. But I go where my emotions tell me to. And if that leads to burnout sometimes, I deal with it. I deal with it as it happens. You know, I do try to prevent in between. Like, I don't take life too seriously, okay? Like, I'll be singing in the car.
Yeah.
I'll be like dancing privately in my room.
Yeah.
I find ways to have time with myself. Like I said, I'm indulging that inner child all the time. There's moments. I told you the other day I spent like 5 hours organizing my
I thought it was a whole weekend, actually, is what you said. You said a whole weekend.
I organized all my 300, 400 books onto a spreadsheet with like a column for reviews, the genre, the author, like what is inside, like everything. And I think, like, what am I doing right now? But I could be doom scrolling. I could be, you know, like binging shows. Which is okay in like balance, but that's what I mean. Is like I'm constantly like looking for that naturally. I don't know how else not to.
Yes, and I've noticed that a lot. Where like you do have these things that not only is your wellness so important to you that you like, you know, you'll spend a whole weekend reorganizing your bookshelf, like what? But also, yeah, you know. But what I love about it too is that you work wellness and you work these things into your schedule.
Yes.
Like it's not something that exists outside of like what you have to do for a living. There isn't like this, and so I see this kind of reimagining of what priorities look like on your calendar. Like when I look at your calendar, I can see, or even just like what your calendar would ideally be, I can see the colors put for organizing your bookshelf. I can imagine that being on the calendar along with the work you have to do. And I think that says a lot about like making wellness a part of your life versus something external thing that you have to like do when you have time, you know?
It's a mental thing too. Like something like the bookshelf organizing, probably wouldn't put that on the calendar, but I'll feel it in my head like, oh, this weekend, I plan my every day tomorrow, I'm like, I'm gonna do this and this. If something doesn't get done, that's fine. A priority is a priority. I'm going to get that done. But if I have like leeway, I like you often do, I'll let things kind of like, you know, pass me by and then I'll get to it depending on my mood. Very like emotionally driven as well. Like I am logical, but I'm also emotional. I feel like I'm trying to constantly balance these things, but so far it's working.
It seems like it. Well. And again, what I'm getting is this idea of like being gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
The moment you don't get everything done. Like I think that's so, it seems simple, but it's kind of like really important, you know? Like putting it in the calendar, but understanding that if it gets pushed down to the next day or deleted, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. And so I hope more people can be more gentle with themselves about the calendars and the priorities they set, and understand that it won't always work out the way you want, but part of balancing that is being okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, fulfillment for you, like what is that? What is it for you? Like, is it a thing you're committed to? Is it a moment? What is it? How do you reach that? How do you get that for yourself?
So next year is gonna be interesting. I feel like I've been planning it for a while. 2025, I am hoping to move out and be independent for the first time, away from my family. That is a huge shift in my life. But I've talked to so many people about this, and I keep getting like a lot of mixed signals and weird advice. Honestly, have I been one of those
people that's giving you weird advice? I probably was, but thank you for okay.
You've been one of the people that have trusted me to know what I'm doing.
Because to not give you unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, great. That's good to know.
I think and this is people just caring about me. They'll say, you know, you have the comfort of your parents' home. You don't have to worry about bills. Like, just wait till you get into the real life. It's not all butterflies. I'm like, when did I say it was?
I hate that when people do that. Just wait.
Just wait.
It's not all butterflies. I'm like, I'll fucking make it all butterflies. Anyway, sorry.
I think sometimes I talk so much about the independent piece that they're like, you're going to crave that, but then you're going to miss what you have now. So I get it. I get where they're coming from. But I'm going into this knowing that it's going to be hard, that it's going to be a challenge. I embrace challenges. That's how I grow. That's how I get my fulfillment. That's how I keep going. That is my purpose in my life. I can't just be stagnant. I can't stop growing. Again, I just don't know how. So the next thing, like if that means like paying bills on time, if that's my next challenge, bring it on.
And we're in support of you in any way. I know there's part of me who's been living. There's part of me that's been living alone for like over a decade. So parts of me, I can feel it come out, being like, "No, Tubz, don't." But also, like, I think what you said is so interesting. I think that there's a level of discomfort that comes from, you know, challenging yourself. There's a level of growth that comes from challenging yourself, and through that you find fulfillment. And so that's so interesting. I think sometimes we can like get into the habit of having like entirely comfort-based language. That I think that it's like people need to always be comfortable, and I don't necessarily believe that. And I think I don't think you do either. I think it sounds like that these new challenges offer an opportunity for a different and potentially better version of you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm always trying to do better, to be better, and part of that includes those challenges. So I welcome them, whatever that looks like.
Like monthly bills.
Like monthly bills.
And doing your own laundry.
I have a spreadsheet already.
Okay, that's good. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what that is.
I'm not going in unprepared.
Yeah.
You know? Like I know. Like
I give you a few months, you'll be better at living alone than I am, and I've been doing it for over a decade. So understand that you're going to be totally fine, Tubz. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I just expect an interview. Actually, I expected an invitation to your housewarming along with everybody else in this room.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
My space might look kind of like this.
Oh, like this big? Excuse me?
No, not this big.
Okay, I was like, where is
I don't have that kind of money.
Okay, I didn't know I had an upper class person in my interview series. I would have approached
get out.
this differently.
No.
Get out. Get out. You're rich. Get out.
No. First of all, everything I've worked for, I like worked hard for.
That's right.
But I also like don't know what I am without my parents yet. And part of that growth requires me to leave them. And I've been crying already just thinking about that. And my siblings too, because they are such a huge support system for me.
Yeah. And you're the eldest.
I am the eldest. So this is going to shift the family dynamic as well. but inevitably it's going to happen. Eventually it needs to happen. And I, like you said, I'm curious to see what version of me might come out from this. And I like to approach everything with humor and fun. And you're also a big inspiration for that. I like whatever happens, I'll get through it. You know, it's a deterministic factor as well. Like everything you've done at this point has prepared you. You may not know it right now, but whatever outcome of your decision, you're ready.
Wow.
If you trust yourself, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. I think I needed to hear that too. Yeah, I think new version of Tubz like wears a lot of like Tubz wears like a lot of dark makeup.
Oh,
you know?
interesting.
You're gonna be like, I like ripped clothes, and you're gonna be like, yeah, I've been living alone for 3 months. Can you imagine?
Oh my God, what if you predicted it?
No, don't. Okay, now I'm projecting. Never mind, don't do it. That's what mine looked like, is what I'm trying to say. And I think, yeah. Thank you,
Butterflies
Tubz.
and rainbows.
Butterflies and rainbows. Only butterflies and rainbows in your future. No. What are the opposite of butterflies and rainbows?
Rain, like a dark
Rain
cloud.
and dark clouds. But like, is there an insect equivalent to butterflies? That's not cockroaches and rain. That's poor cockroaches. Like, I feel like they didn't ask to be anyway. Whatever. It's not all rain and cockroaches. Okay, be happy. All right, last question, Tubz, and thank you. Like again, like I have a hard time sometimes when I interview someone I really like truly love as a person. I tend to index all of the conversations and moments we're having, and then before I'm even done the interview, I'm already going through the Rolodex of all the things that you said, and I'm like, oh, I love that, but the interview's not even done. Understand that's what's happening in my head right now. But let's get into the last question. You know, like what? So you mentioned a little bit about it. What, you know, the future, what does that look like for Tubz individually? What does it look like for the work you do, but also maybe the community that you serve? You know, what does the ideal future look like?
The ideal future for me, so having a stable job is important, but a job that aligns with my values. And luckily the next thing that I have lined up does do that for me. And it's a role where I can help other youth to be community leaders in themselves. And I'm a big believer in like leaders make more leaders. And so if I can help them on their journey, that's good enough for me. And doing that full time, like, wow, I'm really excited for that part. And because it's flexible, I want to work with Fuel for as long as I can, because I really love the team and I love the work that we do. And I think it's important, and I've seen the value of it time and time again, meeting people, talking to them. So I want to keep doing that. I want to keep making spaces for people and recognizing them and having conversations about what the social impact space can look like in the future, being authentic, being genuine, and bringing myself to that too, and encouraging others to bring themselves with me. And then on the side, I'm working with Tuba, with her organization. I love her approach, by the way. She does a very, like, there's no hierarchy here. It's just all of us working towards a collective goal. And so whenever she gets an opportunity, she gets me involved, and likewise. And other people along the way, if you want to like work with me, I just know that I am happy to assist in any way that I can. Granted, like, things are getting busier for me, and they will be in the next year. But I will try to find time where I can to do the things that I am passionate about. And if, you know, like, there's no one particular social justice cause that draws me. It's everything. It's everything. So wherever I see myself in the future, I'm gonna just gravitate towards based on how I'm feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're such a gem that I'm like consistent. I'm like I don't know. I have a feeling to like want to gatekeep you almost, because you just gave a call out to be like, anybody who wants to help, and I'm like, no one. No, but anyway, that's your narrative. I won't push that on. Okay, so maybe we'll end off. Why don't you look at the camera, tell people how they can find you, and so if they do want to collaborate with you, they can. Where do they find you, Tubz?
Okay, so I mean, you can follow me on my Instagram, which is Tubz, TUBZ99. That's my personal Instagram. It's private, so just, I mean, give me a follow. I might vet you a little bit, but that's the only place that I really want to shout out, because that's what I use the most, and I'm really responsive there. Yeah.
Incredibly insightful, but also really, really fun. Thank you, Tubz, for sitting down with me. When you move on to different experiences, understand I'll be watching this again just to remember
Oh.
yeah, no, I will. And yeah, I really cherish the moments we've had together. And that is a wrap. On the next interview at Changemaker's Corner,